Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge and welcome to another recommendations video. And today I'm doing a video that should be a lot of fun. I recently did one that was very emotional books and books that have a lot of feels in them and just really are very dramatic. And so some of you requested low angst romances, and I feel you. Sometimes it's just nice going into a book knowing that you're not going to have your heart wrung like a wet paper towel, you know? So I have 10 books for you that, though there may be drama in the book, because there's still plot, there's still stuff going on, that there's very little drama between the love interests. So though there may be lots of plot stuff going on, the relationship is like rock solid. There's not a lot of questioning happening in it. And it's just, or maybe it's just a really peaceful story. So as we go through each of those, I'll kind of share why I picked these books for low angst. Of course, this is just based on my opinion. I read a lot of high angst stories. So some things that are low angst for me might just be because they're not 1,000 miles an hour the way that some books are. So let's go ahead with this. I'm going to start, I think, with, well, we'll just go through the ones that I have right in front of me. So the first one I have is A Duchess a Day by Charis. This one, it's kind of supposed to be like a Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs retelling. But we have this girl named Lady Helen, and she is supposed to be being forcibly married off to this certain guy because her family, like, there's something to do with, like, land rights, and she wants to protect her orchard. That was, like, you know, it's very important to her, but her family ends up hiring a bodyguard for her named Declan Shaw, who's better known as the Huntsman, and he is a mercenary, and he gets hired to watch her and make sure that she doesn't mess this up. He has been blackmailed. He gets taken out of prison to specifically be her bodyguard because he is being blackmailed to do so, and he has a lot on the line if he doesn't do what is asked of him. However, very quickly in this story, these two connect with each other, and they come up with a plan to try to find a replacement Duchess for the man that she's supposed to marry. So that's where kind of this, like, seven dwarfs things come in. It's actually like 7 duchesses, and they all have like different nicknames when she's planning it out. I'm trying to find one of the examples of this. Like here, like the 7 potential duchesses, and there's Happy Sneezy, Doc, Sleepy, Bashful, Dopey, who are people who could, like, be that. Those are her, like, I thought it was a little bit funny, but she's trying to keep it in code, right? We don't want people to know. But I thought this was pretty low angst for me. This was really fun. It had me laughing a lot. The chemistry between these two was really great. And I think there was relatively, like, low angst for him being, you know, someone who's recently been in prison and her being this, like, noble woman. So yeah, I'm picking this one as low angst. I just almost jammed myself in the eye. Then I have Just Like Heaven by Julia Quinn. I recently just reread this book, and this is a best friend's brother situation. So we have Honoria Smythe Smith, and she is a part of the Smythe Smith family who does the musicale. If you are a Bridgerton fan or a Julia Quinn fan, you know, because I was a Julia Quinn fan for a very long time, still am. And this book actually takes place, like, during the Bridgerton series, just so you know. But her brother has been chased out of the country because he was in a bit of a tight situation. And if he comes back, he could be, like, killed or arrested or something like that. And so her brother's friend, Marcus, is the Earl of Charis. And he has been looking out for Honoria for the past few years. And by look out, it means scaring away potential suitors who are not meant for her. So little does he know, he's really doing this partly for his friend, but also because he has feelings for her too. This book, again, there is not a ton going on plot-wise. She is trying to find a match. He is trying to make sure she finds a good match. There is sickbed scenes in this book that are just really beautiful. And I just love this couple so much. They make me so happy, and I do feel like it's pretty low angst because there's nothing really keeping them apart except them realizing that they love each other, kind of thing. So this is a fun one. Another one I want to mention is Radiance by Grace Draven. So this is a fantasy romance. This one is also a like friends to lovers. This is a slow burn, but I'm telling you, I understand why everyone loves it. It's very endearing. So this is about this couple. I am not going to try to pronounce their name because I don't want to torture myself with this. But they are getting married to forge a peace deal between their two species / races of people. And they end up, like, both of their races think that the other race is really ugly. However, they end up becoming friends. Like, before they even get married, they end up meeting each other. Kind of kismet. They end up meeting each other and having a great conversation. And then it turns out that they're the one that they're marrying. And they're not mad about it. They're like, oh, great. The only person of your race that I've ever talked to is you. And I really like you. So this is exciting. So it's really kind of fun. And then it's a slow burn. Our heroine is moving with her husband to his land. And he really helps her try to follow his customs and try to help her assimilate, and he does it in a very like friendly way. Like, they're like, you know what, if we never have a boiling passion, if we never want to have sex with each other because we think the other one is kind of gross, we're gonna have a beautiful friendship. And that is what they start out to have. And then eventually they are falling in love with each other's souls, and that's what's so beautiful. They're falling in love with each other's souls, and so eventually romance is going to come. So this is one that I'm saying there is definitely angst in the story, you know, because their two races hate each other, but there is no angst in the romance because they have a beautiful friendship. Like, they can talk so easily with each other. I really need to continue this series. I like haven't because I've heard things about it, and I kind of like didn't want to continue because I'm afraid of that drama there. But in this first one, there is no drama, and I really, really enjoy it. Then I have The Intimacy Experiment by Rosie Danon. This is a new release. This is the follow-up to Rosie Danon's debut, The Roommate. This is about a former porn star and a rabbi. So this is about Naomi Grant, and she used to be a porn star. In the past couple years, her and her business partners have created this business teaching relationship tips and sex tips and empowerment for women and things like that. They have this booming business, but she still wants to be successful in a legitimate area, and she's having problems doing that. So even though she's gotten her degree and she's a very smart woman, no one wants to hire her because former porn star, right? Well, then she meets Ethan, who is a super hot rabbi, and I think it's for a reformed synagogue, like a reformed Judaism synagogue, and he wants her to teach intimacy classes at his synagogue to try to bring in a new generation of people, because otherwise his synagogue is going to die. And again, there is angst in this story. There is outside drama. There is trouble that may come their way. But this couple and the way that they deal with that and the way that they communicate was so beautiful. Like, I cannot overstate that. And so there are very few miscommunications. They may be like shy to bring up some things or hesitant to bring up some things. But this couple, they talk through like everything that comes up. And the way that their relationships happens, the way that they start to date, like, it just brings the biggest smile to my face. Like, I truly, truly love this. I feel like The Roommate, a lot of people fawned over it because it seemed like it was such a new and exciting thing. And I don't hate that book. I gave it 5 stars when I initially read it, and it's a book that, like, I've moved it down a little bit. The more that I thought about the story, I think I got caught up in the hype. But this book, I can see how much the author has grown from book 1 to book 2, and it's phenomenal. Like, this story just gutted me, But again, like, their communication was so good, and there was very little angst between the two of them. Like, they both want to do what's best for their partner, and they are willing to, like, talk through that. And so there isn't a ton of, like, miscommunication drama. Again, there are some outside factors that make there be pressures on their relationship. But overall, this was just so, so sweet, and I had a wonderful time reading it. Then I have kind of a little surprise gem here for you, and this is Beyond the Sea by Keira Andrews. So this is a male-male shipwrecked plane crash on a desert island romance. And so there seems like there's a lot of drama with it. This is actually two straight men in a, like, gay for you, both of them situation, which I thought was fascinating because, I mean, I'm a trashy bitch. I enjoy a gay for you story now and then when a gay man is able to tempt a supposedly perfectly straight man into his bed. Yeah, I got a kink for it. I know it's not healthy. I know it's not great, but I'm a twisted bitch. It's okay. However, there was something fascinating about this story. So this is a co-pilot and a rock star, and they're on a private plane, and this plane ends up going down, and the pilot dies, who is a female, and so then these two men are left alive, and they make it to this island, and they're both straight. And they're on this island for a while, and they start to have feelings. And again, there's obviously, like, some drama in this story because they are shipwrecked, and it is terrifying, and what are we going to do? But I love how their physical relationship evolves and how it comes about and how they talk about it and have it happen. So I thought this was really fascinating. Most all of Keira Andrews' books are on KU. I think I could be making that up, but she has some other male-male romances that I've really loved as well. So give her a chance when you can. Then there is If She Says Yes by Tasha Harrison. So this one, again, I think the perceived angst is more than the actual angst in this situation. Because this is a best friend's mom book or a son's best friend, whichever way you want to throw this out. Age gap, obviously. But what was cool about it is that the young person, the man, he's 35 years old, I believe. Yes, I think he's in his mid-30s. And she is in her early 50s. And he has had a torch carried for her since he used to stay at their home in college. So he's literally had a thing for this woman for a very long time. He happens to be staying at her house because his best friend, her son, is getting married. And so they're there for like a week of leading up to the wedding. And he's like, this is my chance to make my move. And so they are both adults. There may be some taboo here, but it's mostly like perceived taboo. Like there's nothing actually taboo. This is two people who are completely old enough and nobody is married and there's nothing in the way here. It's just a matter of if they're willing to risk it. Also, our hero is a little bit of a submissive, not a ton, but just a little bit. This is also an interracial romance. We have a black heroine and a part Mexican hero. I think he's half Mexican. I can't quite remember, but I know that it's a black heroine, older black heroine. And oh my gosh, I had so much fun with this. And this book, I was smiling the whole way through it. Again, there is a little bit of angst in this, but for the most part, it is like pretty low. And it was just a fun read. Then I have Love in the Wild by Emma Castle. This is a Tarzan retelling. It is a book I absolutely love this. I recently just reread it so that I could listen to the audiobook, which is narrated by Shane East. And I love it. I love it so much. This book made me very happy. Again, lots of external angst in this story, but in between the two characters, we have our heroine Eden and we have our hero Thorn. He's been raised by apes since he was very young. His family was stranded in the jungle. His parents were killed by poachers. Then Eden, she's going on, this is a modern set story, by the way. She is going on a like photo safari she's going to be going on or something like that. And then her group gets attacked by poachers who don't want people to see what they're doing, and she gets rescued by Thorn, and then she figures out that this is based on like the evidence she finds in his like camp and stuff, she realizes who he is, who went missing. He's a missing heir to this like earldom, and she works to have him like reinstated and be found. And again, there's very low angst romance for them. This is kind of insta love, but it works because for Thorn, he's seeing the first woman who is like of his like species, and it's just really beautiful, their relationship. I like it a lot. So I thought I'd put that on there. Then we have Love at First by Kate Clayborn. I read this one recently, just the beginning of May. It's not in my normal repertoire. I actually read this book because I did a vlog where I read my book bestie's favorite books. Crystal, hey girl. And this one is about this girl named Nora and this guy named Will. And they actually first meet 16 years in the past. Well, Will sees Nora when he stops at this apartment building with his mom. But she never sees him. 16 years later, he actually inherits his uncle's apartment in this building, and he doesn't want anything to do with it. But then he sees Nora again, and they have this like instant chemistry. And so this is another one of like, this one might be like a little bit kind of angsty, but it's told in this really like refreshing way. The audiobook was really good. This couple could be a little more communicative, but just in comparison of like what I consider like a low angst, like there's not super like high stakes to this. It's more of like, do we want to make a go of this relationship or not? And so I would consider that like low angst, you know, like there's nobody's life is on the line. This isn't a mafia or an age gap or any of those things. This is just, do these two people want to give love a chance? And you know, spoiler, they do. Oops, did I ruin something for y'all? Just kidding. I can be sassy. I know how to bring the sass. Okay? Okay? Okay. All right. Then I want to mention Wanderlust by Lauren Blakely. I listened to this one on Audible Plus because Richard Armitage, who is Mr. Thornton from North and South, he did the male voice in this. And I think Andy Arndt did the female voice, because she does a lot of Lauren Blakely. But this is actually about this girl who, it reminded me of Emily in Paris, except done in a more respectful way than Emily in Paris was done. Yeah, Emily in Paris has problems. But this is about this American who works for a perfume company, and she gets sent over there to do some work in their office in Paris. And then we have a hero who, he is a translator, and so he ends up being her translator. And these two, the thing is that he has plans that at the end of the summer, he's planning to fulfill his brother's bucket list. So his brother died of cancer when he was really young, and his brother left him with a bucket list of things to do. And so, again, this one has like a little bit of angst to it. I mean, there's no romance that doesn't have any, but I really like how these two communicate, and they're very open with each other about how they're feeling about things, but yet the way that they come about a conclusion and the way that they come about wanting to realize their dreams together is really beautiful. And also, if you listen to it on audio, you get to listen to Richard Thornton's beautiful British voice speak into your ears. So I'm just saying. And then the last one I want to talk about is Ringmaster by Briana Hale. And this is another book that I try to bring this up whenever I can, because number one, Briana Hale usually writes pretty dark romances. She writes taboo romances and things like that. To me, Ringmaster is her lowest angst book. And it is the, like, quote-unquote lightest of all of her books, even though it starts out very dark. It starts with our heroine when she's 17, and her father is threatening to kill her horse at the beginning of this book. And so she is, like, she takes her horse and runs into the forest, and her father goes after her with a gun. So, I know, seems pretty scary in the beginning. However, our hero, who is the owner of a circus, again, this is set in modern times. It's set in England too, in the UK. and he is part of this traveling circus that he owns and is the ringmaster for. And he happens to be riding by on his horse when he sees this happen. He sees her run into the forest on the horse, and he sees the dad follow after. So he goes in, threatens the dad, kind of beats him up, and welcomes this girl to join his circus. And is like, I will find work for you. You'll be safe here. My circus is full of people who are from all different backgrounds. And so she's like, can I bring my horse? And he's like, of course, you can bring your horse. And so, yeah, this is an age gap. I think he is in his 30s and she's 17 when this starts. The reason that this one is low angst, and I'll tell you, is that number one, nothing happens between them for a very significant amount of time, past the point where you're like, please do something. The tension is great. This has found family in it. The circus just welcomes her in. She starts learning different acts to do in the circus. She learns things to do with her horse. And then her and, I think his name is Hale. They start working on this knife act together where he will throw knives at her. And by the time that she turns 18, everyone in this circus wants these two to be together. Everyone is like, come on, do it. And so for me, that made it pretty low angst because he's just trying to do the right thing and he doesn't want to take advantage of her. He doesn't want her to feel like she owes him anything, but it's so beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And so I consider this a pretty low angst for the romance part of it because there's nobody they're having to fight against to be together. There's nobody who thinks that this is wrong. Everyone sees the chemistry, sees the genuine friendship and love between the two of them, and is like, Hale, it's okay, you can take a chance. So there you go. There are 10 books that I think have pretty low angst, but are still, these are all still pretty sexy and sweet books. So let me know some of your favorites, because for me, low angst does not mean low steam. I still want the steam to fog up my non-existent glasses. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me so much. Check out channel memberships if you'd like to have more of my attention. That would be great. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.